I ain't hit you back and now you overreacting. Hey.
I was supposed to review this album earlier in the year, but I kind of lost track of my priorities. Mansionz is a mysterious collaborative pop project between Mike Posner and Blackbear. Now, I've personally never been too keen on either artist. I think Mike Posner has been the more impressive of the two as of recent. He's been a little more thoughtful and more introspective and self-aware on his latest album that dropped last year, At Night Alone. It wasn't a stunner for me personally, but there was something to admire there. Blackbear, on the other hand, did put out one of my least favourite albums of this year, so yeah. Still, there was something intriguing to be seen in the Mansionz project that kind of brought me into it. The album continues the pulling apart of the hedonistic lifestyle that Posner scrutinized and Blackbear embraced on each of their respective projects. Although on Mansionz it is fully a topic to boast about, be it hooking up with girls constantly, being at the strip club, or being fully immersed in the drug scene. If there's anything to find really admirable about this album, it's that this is actually far more out there and unpredictable and even experimental than I expected any of these artists to pull off. Obviously it chases trends, there are some obvious white guy with acoustic guitar sort of stuff on this album, but at least it's throwing punches from left field more than I might have expected, especially considering one of the tracks has G-Eazy on it, and we all know how interesting he isn't. However, what made me struggle to appreciate some of the themes explored on Blackbear's album pops up again for Mansionz' album. They try to derive sympathy and sob stories out of this wild, hedonistic lifestyle. Or at least they're not doing it in the right way. If you're handling songs like STFU, or Rich White Girls, or maybe that acoustic track on this album that's about literally just watching strippers dance around poles, you can't really expect us to connect to you on an emotional level when you start doing the sad breakup sort of stuff.
Every time you come over, I don't ever get no play. She's fucking wicked.
Some songs here are trend chasing, some songs here are a little wilder than others, like the unexpected 80s synth pop jam with G-Eazy. Some songs here are trashy and unclassy as heck, and others just fall into all three of those categories. As I said, this album is quite ambitious. It features some spoken word interludes and even a song with dialogue from Dennis Rodman, of all people. Yes, Dennis Rodman, the ex-basketballer. I suppose they got Rodman on this album because he does speak about identity and sticking up for yourself when people judge you for who you are. And as for spoken word poems like I'm Thinking About Horses, I appreciate the poetry, you know. I like a good spoken word poem every now and then. I like the line comparing us to horses, how horses could be these majestic, grandiose beings running free and being themselves, but they end up letting humans hold them down. And Posner just yells out, "Is that not what we all do?" And while I like that line, the delivery is pretty melodramatic. In fact, the whole poem, the way it's delivered, is pretty melodramatic and over the top. And the organ playing in the background sounds pretty cheap. Like, not just the sound of the organ itself sounds cheap, like a cheap MIDI sound of something, but it's also an obvious means of making this sound inspirational or mind-blowing. I didn't like the album that much. I mean, it's intriguing, but it falls flat most of the time. Thankfully, it's not like flat-out hatred, but I just didn't like this. I just didn't think it was that good.
Rich white girls, all they do is bitch and they whine.
4 out of 10.